Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. We're going to bring you up to date with Storm Gareth developments. We're going to have all of the latest news and information about Storm Gareth for the start of this video. And then we'll have your regular week to 10 day video update, and that's going to take us to around the 22nd of March. We'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECMWF. We'll have a quick look at CFSV2 at the end of the month. The end of the video for the next month. But coming back to Storm Gareth first of all. So this is what the UK Met was tweeting a couple of hours ago. Hashtag Storm Gareth, in brackets seen from space, is already bringing wet and windy weather across the UK. Winds will pick up further for many, bringing the risk of disruption to travel and power supplies. Warnings are in force, so stay. Hashtag weather aware. And this is the animation that the UK Met has got. So there's Gareth just there, the central Gareth, up to the north and west of the UK. Of course, all this cloud is the weather systems, weather fronts associated with Storm Gareth. Let's run the animation and you'll be able to see exactly what's going to happen with Gareth. So we get the strongest of the winds coming in from the north and the west, of course, this evening and overnight tonight. Gusts of 75 miles an hour are possible across western coast of Scotland, 60 miles an hour for Northern Ireland, and 65 miles per hour gusts possible parts of Wales. And I think that's saying 50 miles an hour perhaps further inland, around 50 miles an hour further inland, but it's hard to make it out there. Travel disruption, power loss possible, and large waves are going to be the effects of Storm Gareth. Severe weather warnings are in force. It's a severe weather warnings page from the UK Met. So let's try zooming into that. We'll see what's going on. So we've got weather warnings west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, and most of England and Wales too under severe weather warnings. So if we click on that, you'll be able to see that they're saying strong west to northwest winds are expected from Tuesday afternoon until Wednesday, with possible transport disruption. What to expect? Probably some bus and train services affected, with some journeys taking longer. Delays for high-sided vehicles on exposed routes and bridges is likely. Short-term loss of power and other services probable, and it's likely that some coastal routes, seafronts, and coastal communities are affected by spray and or large waves. So could be quite nasty, and that lasts from sort of now through to tomorrow morning. This is how Storm Gareth is going to perform over the next few hours. So this is 6 o'clock this evening. Storm Gareth is just off the northwest coast of Scotland. Strongest of winds are coming into western Scotland, Northern Ireland. Very, very tight packed ice bars there. 75 mile an hour gusts certainly possible. They push further inland up to midnight. So by that point, it's southwest Scotland, Northern Ireland, the far northwest of England that have got the worst of the winds pushing inland. By the time you get through 6 o'clock in the morning, Gareth has transferred over to the North Sea, and then the strongest gusts will probably be through parts of northern England, possibly down in towards the Midlands, North Wales, possibly in towards East Anglia as well. Again, 40, 50, 60 mile an hour gusts not to be ruled out. Through the course of tomorrow, Gareth moves in towards Denmark, and still windy through the morning, but very gradually you'll see the ice bars are beginning to open out. So the worst of winds will be tomorrow morning, and then they'll start to ease down through the course of tomorrow afternoon. Let's have a radar picture. So we've had one area of rain that's brought a very wet day to much of England and Wales. It's still across southeast England and East Anglia. Some very bright colours in there, indicating some real squalls pushing through. Torrential bursts of rain that will move out into the North Sea, and then it's with this area of precipitation, because it's not only rain, some of this is snow, across western Scotland and Northern Ireland. It's with that we have the strongest of the winds pushing in from the Atlantic. So this is like the precipitation that's ahead of Gareth, if you like. This is the main precipitation from Storm Gareth itself, and that's associated with the strongest of the winds as well. This Albert GFS is forecasting wind gusts through the course of today. So it was very windy. It is very windy through that rain band that's in the southeast. You'll notice that moves away, winds fall lighter, but then the next batch of strong winds moving into western Scotland and Northern Ireland through the course this afternoon. And then into the evening, the winds really power up in the northwest. So widely, southwest Scotland, Northern Ireland, northwest England, seeing gusts going up to sort of 65, 70 miles an hour. Some parts of the far west of Scotland up to around 75 miles an hour at 9 o'clock this evening. And then those strong winds push further inland. So we've got much of northern England going up to sort of 50 miles an hour, 60 mile an hour gusts around these Irish Sea coasts as well. Even through parts of Wales and Midlands, right around 40, 50 miles an hour. So strong winds moving inland overnight. That takes us to 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Strong winds from northwest England down into the Midlands, 50, 60 mile an hour gusts certainly not to be ruled out. Those strong winds then transfer more towards the eastern side of the country up to midday before everything finally starts to calm down through the course of tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow evening. Still pretty windy, you'll notice. Still gusts up to 30, 40 miles an hour, but nowhere near as bad as it will be earlier on tomorrow. To Thursday, we've got more strong winds, this time further south, so around southwestern parts of England and these southern coastal areas. Again, 40, 50 mile an hour gusts are possible. So it remains pretty windy, pretty stormy out there for quite some time, and it's going to be a case of batter down the hatches and going to get pretty wild in the next few hours from Storm Gareth. Right, so moving on to the next couple of weeks then. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. The red line here is a 30-year upper air temperature average, and we're looking at Rugby, quite close to where I am actually in the East Midlands today. So it's another suggested location on our list, excuse me, of suggested places for this section of the video. So we're starting off pretty cool with the upper air temperatures at Rugby at the moment, and it's going to stay a bit up and down with the temperatures over the next few days. So we have a warmer spell coming up at the end of the week, but then as going to the weekend, it's going to get quite cold again. However, next week, clear warming trend in evidence. We've been talking about this in the videos for quite a while. Temperatures lifting up through the course of next week, and those milder temperatures look like they're going to take us through towards month's end. Now, there is a bit of scattering there still. So we've still got these cooler or colder members that are below the red line. But overall, it looks like temperatures will be turning milder through the final 10 days to the final week of the month. And a drying trend too. So starting off pretty wet through to the weekend and the early part of next week. Unsettled. Regular rainfall coming through. That's the 20th of March. So all of this kind of like the final week to 10 days of March. Clear drying trend is in evidence there. There are a few precipitation spikes still, probably associated with these cooler ensemble members. But overall, the trend now is quite clearly looking like it's going to be warmer or milder and drier for the final week to 10 days of March. We've been expecting it, been talking about it in the videos a lot. Will this come off? It does look as though there's growing sort of support for spring returning next week. So if you're waiting for mild, dry weather and spring to come back, next week could be the week for you. Temperature anomalies from the 12th through to 20th of March, very close to average. Again, not a big deviation. Possibly northern areas are a little bit on the cooler side, southern areas a little bit on the milder side. I expect those to trend milder over the next few days if that ensemble chart is correct. Precipitation anomalies from the 12th to 20th of March, above average. So still looking quite wet and not overly mild in the next week. But through the course of the final week, 10 days March, I would expect these charts, these anomaly charts, to trend both warmer and also to trend drier too. This is how the GFS 6 o'clock run was looking for Friday when it updated earlier on today. So bringing cloud and rain across many parts of the country from Friday into weekend. This little area of low pressure that's developing just here on Saturday could give a really wet day across much of England and Wales on Saturday. Maybe a bit of snow on the northern edge. That gets out of the way on Sunday. Leaves us with a colder day, sunshine and wintry showers in the north and in the west too. Early next week stays unsettled for the north. You'll notice still quite touch back to isobars, so very windy in the north and some showery bursts of rain. But notice high pressure is beginning to start ridging in from the Azores high. And as we go through into the middle of next week, it's Wednesday 20th of March, we're finding that high pressure is increasingly building across the south. And look at this, we get to day 10, which is Friday 22nd of March, and we are back under an area of high pressure. High pressure is dominating, sitting over and just to the east of us, bringing the winds in from a southeasterly direction. That will probably lift temperatures into the mid to possibly upper teens Celsius. So you could be talking about a very mild spell of weather coming up by the end of next week, by day 10. Into our extended range, we keep this area of high pressure going. So again, lots of dry, fine and pretty mild conditions continuing, maybe quite warm. Into the closing days of the month, the high pressure is kind of like more centred over Scandinavia. So a little bit more of an easterly. That will add a bit of a chill to the air. But the main thing is that high pressure is dominating. So we go back to lots and lots of dry weather after this burst of unsettled weather through the first half of March. The second half of March settles down a lot, turns much, much drier and also quite a bit milder and probably quite a lot warmer in fact. This is how the parallel GFS run is looking. So again, it's very unsettled over the weekend and up to the start of next week. How much influence does the high pressure have on this run? So we get to the middle of next week. It's all looking rather similar to the operational GFS. We've got high pressure in the south, low pressure is still up to the north. So it's still rather unsettled, Scotland and Northern Ireland, but England and Wales settling down, turning drier and probably quite warmer, quite a bit warmer too. Up to day 10, the high pressure is in control, but it's centred quite a lot further east, actually, than the operational GFS. So we're bringing up a southerly wind. It is very mild, but it's a little bit more unsettled, probably showery out to the western part of the country. In the more extended range, we keep quite a bit of high pressure going, really, although late on it looks like it's turning a bit more unsettled. Generally, the parallel run always seems to be a little bit cooler and a little bit more unsettled compared to the operational GFS. I'm not sure why it is. I'm not sure if it's a flaw within the model and they're going to have to iron it out before this becomes the operational GFS run, or if it's just something that is quite random. But it always seems that the parallel is going for a cooler and rather more unsettled option compared to the operational GFS. It might be right. We'll just have to wait and see. Let's see what the ECM is showing. So again, it's very unsettled for the weekend, lots of rain and eventually cold air digging back in from the north and west on Sunday. And then go through to the early part of next week, high pressure increasingly building across the south, bringing plenty of dry, quite warm weather there. Up to the northwest, it remains a little bit more unsettled. That's how we look at day 10. So actually quite similar to the parallel GFS in some ways. You've got high pressure centred across central eastern parts of Europe, low pressure out to the northwest. We're bringing the winds up from the south, so it's going to be mild, maybe even very mild, but possibly turning a bit showery out to the north and the west. The operational GFS is definitely the most settled scenario out of those three models. These are the options that are on the table within the ECM ensembles today at day 10. So this is looking at the 22nd of March, of course. So we've got 24 members of the ECM ensembles, including the control and operational runs that have the high pressure over to the east of us. They have low pressure out to the west. So they're relatively settled. They're bringing winds up from a southerly direction. They would be mild, but always a threat that the Atlantic might break through and start to break high pressure down. Then we've got 14 ensemble members that are much more unsettled. So they have a bit of high pressure to the south, but they've got low pressure out to the north and west. They're bringing in a westerly flow, and they are much more unsettled, particularly for northern western parts of the country. And then we have 13, these ones just here, that have high pressure dominating. They have high pressure close to us, low pressure's further away from us. They've got winds coming in from a southeast direction. They're mainly dry, probably quite warm as well. And then go through to 2 weeks away. It's almost like a 50-50 split, really. This would be 27th of March, 360 hours. We've got 28 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure out to the northwest, high pressure to our east. They're bringing in a gentle sort of easterly flow. Very settled conditions. Would depend on the exact origins of the air as to whether that's a warm easterly or a cold easterly. But overall, they look much more settled. And then there's 23, so not quite 50-50, but it's sort of 54 to 45%. These 23 have low pressure up to the north, and they're bringing westerlies through, so they're unsettled for the end of March. So it's not a complete given that we are going to settle down and build in high pressure for the final week to 10 days of March. There's still some uncertainty about this within the model output, actually. Finally, the CFS V2, so these are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period will take us from the 12th through to the 18th of March, with below average heights to the north of the country and above average heights out to the west. We're bringing in a westerly flow, so we look rather unsettled in the week ahead and quite cool as well. Then we go through to week 2, it's the 19th to the 25th of March, with below average heights up to the north, above average heights down to our south. The jet stream's rising a bit further north, so certainly for southern parts of the country, it's settling down, but it's still quite unsettled up in the north. Week 3 looks like that. High pressure again is building further, so we're basically under high pressure by week 3. This is the 26th of March to the 1st of April. We're basically under high pressure. Low pressure has been pushed up towards Greenland, Iceland, with the jet stream up there as well. Could be a little bit unsettled still for northern parts of Scotland, but essentially we're into a much drier spell of weather there. And then finally we go through to week 4. It's the 2nd to the 8th of April. Below average heights still around Greenland, Iceland, above average heights to our west-southwest. Perhaps still a bit unsettled in the north. Probably quite a bit of dry weather in the south. Just very typical spring-like conditions, I would have thought. And for the south, I think that would be really quite pleasant. As I've been doing that, the sun's come out here, so it's brightening up after what was a very, very wet morning. So that's how it's looking. It's looking rather unsettled for the next few days, but the trends seem to be increasingly the high pressure to build in. And the final week to 10 days of March, I think we're still looking potentially at a spell of very pleasant spring-like conditions. We'll be keeping updated about that in the next few updates, of course. Right, tomorrow, another week to 10 day video update, and I'll have a 5-day forecast as well, so come back for all of the updates then. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.